Hello, welcome to PODnas. This is a sports show with some Southern and Cajun flair. I'm Daniel Hawks. That's Jarrett Roser. Today, we are going to talk about the Saints schedule release and also catch up on a little NBA news and action. Jarrett, how you doing today? What's up? Happy Friday. We're recording this on Friday. It'll be released Saturday. Happy weekend. There you go. That's a good one. I'll let you talk now. I'll shut up.
Yeah,
I won't
man.
keep talking.
No, it's good. It's good times. I mean, I've been tearing up the roads, hitting a lot of high school spring football practices, and I was telling a couple people at a spring game Thursday night that I was at. I've had an awful lot of fun bouncing around, seeing a lot of folks, and just kind of catching up at kind of a low pressure point of the year for the football schedule where the coaches and kids are relaxed. There's not a game right around the corner, but as much as I've enjoyed it, I'm really looking forward to kind of wrapping it up and having a slower day here soon. And so looking forward to this weekend is kind of a taste of that. And then next weekend, really kind of getting to maybe pool mode and even out this gnarly farmer's tan.
I love that. Are there any schools that you've gone to where you've been super impressed or like, oh, I'm definitely putting them on the radar for a state championship? From anything that you've seen from bouncing around these last couple of weeks?
So I'll pick one here to say, because I think a lot of I'll pick two.
Would be the better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll pick two from kind of different angles because a lot of my priorities as I kind of build out my spring schedule is, I want to pay some credence to the teams that are reigning state champions. And so I'm going to some of the top teams to begin with that have high expectations. And I'm trying to go to the top prospects. So guys that I already know, and then fit in some other stops along the way. And I will say that Edna Carr, who won Division I Select in dominant fashion this year, looks like a dang college team. And I talked to some of the colleges that were at their spring game against Destrehan, who I think Destrehan is a pretty good D1 non-select team in its own right that has a chance to go compete for a state championship. But the college coaches were saying Edna Carr looks like a college team because that team is just still absolutely stacked with talent. And so shout out to those guys and where they are. They're going to be tough to beat this year. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, still have to put in a lot of work, and anything can happen on any Friday night with high school kids, for sure, but Carr looks great. And then on the flip side too, West St. John, a smaller school program from out there in Edgard, down in St. John Parish, just outside of New Orleans, is a program that is a perennial small school power through the years, had a long running streak of making the playoffs, had won state championships, but they had a few down years there, really kind of centered around the pandemic and some storms and those things. And they had trouble shaking back, maybe didn't have the right fits in terms of coaches there, and had trouble getting their numbers up, and, had some guys that probably would have been at West St. John, had elsewhere. They took a nice step forward this past fall and had their first winning season in a while. You got a good group out there. It looks like about 40 1A school and some good talent that I think has a chance to go, a handful, half a dozen guys that maybe can go play some college ball down the road. And so that's a school that I think is kind of under the radar and has a chance to really take another big step back forward to where they were years back. And those are honestly some of my most fun stops every spring, is to kind of get a chance to connect with some of those schools that maybe people aren't talking as much about, but have a chance to be special.
Absolutely. Hey, shouts to them. And football's right around the corner. Before we know it, it'll be here. And in that vein, Saints just released their schedule. All the NFL released their schedule this week. We're going to talk about what we saw, what we think. I'm going to be super pessimistic. I think they're going to lose every game, even to the Jets, even to the Titans. But one of the things to note, the Saints have the second or third easiest projected schedule this year. I, again, don't think that matters because they've had the easiest schedule like 2 of the last 3 years and still have had just cursed army shit seasons. So what do you think about the Saints schedule? What jumped out to you? What are you looking forward to? I know personally, I'm going to finally get to go see the Saints play in person. It hasn't happened in a very long time because they're coming to Chicago. That's the game I'm most excited about. October 19th. I'll be in Soldier Field at noon in all black. Hopefully it's a nice, crisp 60-degree day here in Chicago and not a random like 90 in October. So, because that all black is going to hurt in the sun, if so.
Look, some of my initial reactions are happening right now in real time because I think I could act like I've been poring over this for 2 days or whatever.
I didn't look at it. I don't give it. I'm
No,
Kurt Sherman again.
yeah.
I don't give a shit.
I don't think either of our viewers wants, that fakeness from me. I think, they want the real, we'll give them the real. That's what you guys want, right? And, some studio audience like, yeah, that's what we want.
Yeah. I can do some applause right there. I will do some applause right there.
Give the people what they want. I'm not intrigued by any of this because I don't think it's going to be a great season. One thing I have seen is in 17 games, despite having one of the easiest schedules, per opponent's winning percentages last year and whatnot, is the Saints' early lines. They're only favored against the Jets. And so despite a theoretically lighter schedule, they're still the underdog in almost all of their games. And I know obviously they don't have any primetime games this season, which is the first time in a while they don't sneak in a Thursday night game or something along the way. And I'm fine with that because I don't think the team is going to be great. And I'm totally on board with the not quite Philly 76ers process rebuild, but for this to take a little bit of time to get right, I'm comfortable with that. Go hide, lose some games. Don't do it on prime time. Just kind of mold yourself in the darkness, like come out swinging in 26 or 27. That may not be the right attitude that the Saints want me to have, but that's kind of how I feel. And so I haven't been overly worried about the schedule because I think regardless of what it looks like, the Saints.
I mean, you would expect this with, like we said, a team and a schedule that is projected like second or third easiest among the entire league, with 49ers being the projected first easiest schedule. There are not a lot of great home games for the fans. Just kind of looking at this, I mean, really, in terms of like star power quarterbacks, you're only getting Kyler Murray in week 1. Like the quarterbacks that are going to come into the Superdome this year are Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, Drake May, and obviously you'll get Baker Mayfield, Michael Penix, Bryce Young, and then Justin Fields. That's it. They go to LA, they go to Chicago. Even if you want to count Sam Darnold, they go to Seattle and then they go to Buffalo for Josh Allen. So it's going to be a tough year, and I'm just buckled in, ready for Nussmeier to put on a black and gold jersey.
Here's where to get excited about who's coming to town is to look up and down that schedule and say, okay, nice. Will Campbell is in New Orleans on October 12th. Braden Swinson along with him, with that Patriots team to see. And I'm going to miss some guys. Obviously there's LSU guys all over the league, but Carolina have a couple of rookies on that team from Louisiana and Trevor Etienne and Cam Jackson from
Malik Neighbors will come home on
Malik with the Giants. Mason Taylor with the Jets, who I think is going to have a great rookie season. And so it's sad if you're a hardcore Saints fan to think, okay, to watch some guys I remember from the high school or college ranks come play in the Superdome. And that's the highlight, but that's the highlight to me anyway, I guess. I don't know.
But I think if you're a hardcore Saints fan too, like this isn't unexpected. I think for the first time in a long time, the build or buzz around the Saints season is accurately depicted. Because even the last 2-3 years where they're trying to just like piece together a playoff in a weak NFC South playoff team, there's always been like, oh, like even last year, I remember you thought that they were going to be in the mix. But that is the thought usually, is that they're going to be in the mix. I think for the first time in a long time, there's a realism around what is expected of this team, which I honestly think will be good for first-year coach Kellen Moore, that he's not expected to turn this thing around in day one. And also for both of these young quarterbacks, Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler, that they're going to have a little bit of time to develop. Even last year when Spencer Rattler got put in, got destroyed immediately and was kind of put in a situation where he was asked to like win or go home and not necessarily develop. And I think both of these guys, and Jake Haener, sure, will have a chance to actually develop into this very much building block team, a team that I don't think anyone is expecting to do anything but come in last place in this division.
I think one thing that is a little bit unfortunate with this schedule and it coming in a year where the Saints don't have a lot of expectation. You know, one thing that's unfortunate about the timing of the schedule on top of the fact that obviously it could be an easier schedule based on just the winning percentages and whatnot is the schedule would set up pretty well for a team if we were looking for a team to win some games where, okay, the Seattle and Buffalo and Chicago trips are all in the first half of the schedule. So you're not going there in December and you have warm weather trips, the back end of the schedule with the divisional games and Miami and, you know, Tennessee, an easy trip. And so there's some good trips that are enjoyable for fans potentially to LA and Chicago and Miami and whatnot. And the schedule sets up where the colder weather trips are in the earlier half of the season. And that would all be super exciting if we thought this team was going to be fun to watch and a team that was going to be competing for a playoff opportunity where any of these things matter. But unfortunately, that's not really what we think right now.
Just a Thanksgiving in Miami, if the Saints were good, that's what it is this year. I would jump on the chance to go to Miami on November 30th. It'd be perfect.
Yeah. Nothing says Turkey Day like South Beach, Daniel.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Oh. So, what do you think? We want to hear if you know our two fans want to get in the comments and really go at each other. What do you think is going to happen with the Saints season? Let us know. I think
Chet, Nick, this is for you.
Oh, moving on. NBA playoffs are still going on. A little bit of news coming out of the draft cycle, though. 76ers have recently put out into the world, into the mass media, that they are listening to offers for the number 3 pick. Do you think that this is something that the Pelicans should go after? I personally do. I think try to move up into that top 4 if you can. I think both the Spurs and the 76ers should realistically listen to offers. And Dallas too, sure. You're not going to, but yeah. What do you think the Pelicans should maybe do with this 7 pick, or do you think you should try to move up? And then we'll go into a little bit of NBA playoffs with a bunch of series wrapping up, and we're about to get into these conference finals.
Dallas should not listen. Dallas should take Nico Harrison's phone away from him at this point. Just don't overthink it. Run your card to the commissioner today. I mean 4 days ago, run that card up and take Cooper Flagg and thank the league. You have a second chance at salvaging just a train wreck that you created for yourself 3 months ago. The rest of the draft, though, up top, I do think kind of fall in line with what I would typically view as the way you should approach things, and just have open ears to everything, see what the offers look like. I think for the Pels, if the price is right to move up to 3 to Philly's spot there, then absolutely. I mean, consider that and look at the potential of going up and getting maybe a VJ Edgecombe. I'm interested to see how some things shake out, because I've, talking to a couple of people that I know more tapped into covering the league on a day-to-day basis. It sounds like there's a thought of could Ace Bailey maybe fall a little bit off of where we kind of viewed him as a draft prospect, and how much does that shake up the top of this? And he, from a positional standpoint, is probably the best fit of those non-Cooper Flagg athletes for a Philly place, but that the value is there at number 3, then maybe they should move off of it. And maybe there's an opportunity there for the Pels, if people aren't trying to jump up as heavily, get a VJ Edgecombe and help further bolster that backcourt you have in New Orleans. But it'll just be a matter of what that bidding war looks like and if it's worth it. Cause I'm very much always in don't overpay unless it's the final piece to the championship puzzle type mode. And I don't think that the Pels are quite there.
Or do you listen to something? Because I do think at 7, the kid from Duke, Mulak or Mulak, how do you say it? I don't know how to say his name. I'm not going to butcher it. The Sudan center, Malawak. There we go. Malawak. I think the Pelicans are uniquely situated to be like a perfect falling spot around for him. And do you maybe, because I don't think if you're the Pelicans, you want to draft another center with the progress you saw from Nisi this season.
Yeah.
But center is a position in the NBA of need, I think, across a lot of teams. So while this fall in the draft is not ideal for, like we talked about last episode, for any of those teams that really needed a star, I think more so the Jazz, Wizards, and Jazz and Wizards more so than any of the other teams up there. Is this a position where you're maybe listening to offers from the Lakers? You're listening to offers from Golden State, who, maybe trying to offload Kuminga to get some draft capital and get some stuff this offseason. And I think Kuminga would be a great fit on that Pelicans team next to Trey, CJ, Zion, and Yusmisi. I think that would be a really, really dope starting 5 going into next season. Is that something that you maybe listen to? Just a thought.
I'm not as specifically as you are now or as I was at one point. And just he brings something, but he also brings a lot of goofiness to his game at times and just lapses. He approaches some things, but the overall point I do agree with that. I think if the Pels can move up into a spot where you get one of those top flight guys, great. If they can't, then there probably is some value in moving back and trying to leverage something from one of these teams that does feel like they're a little bit closer to championship contention, whoever that may be. I think it's also important. We're just over a month out from this draft. I mean, 5-6 weeks, but a lot unfold in that. Football where the season ends in early February and we have months to kind of pour through it. And by that point, the college pre-draft process is already kind of ramping up, where you already had the Senior Bowl and the combine is happening, that quickly and all of those things. A lot more gets drawn out in football where there's develop and get picked apart. In basketball, all of that development and picking apart happens in a little bit more of an air fryer, flash fryer type situation. And so we're going to have somebody, a guy or two that becomes more intriguing over the next month. And then you just try and figure out, is that real or not? Is that just pre-draft hype? And so maybe someone comes into focus that looks like a good value fit here for the Pels over the next month at 7. But with what we're looking at right now, if those, top, we start looking at, in addition to the guys we talked about already with Flagg, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, potentially Trey Johnson sneaking up there. Con Knipple, I think, is going to be a really good NBA player.
Trey Johnson, I think, is
if those steal. If those 6 guys are the first 6 guys, if those 6 guys are the first 6 guys off the board potentially, and you don't think there's another guy that's a good fit and a good value there at 7, and Malawak looks like the best value potentially, but is sort of in some ways a replica of Misi so well last year in the 20s, then if there isn't an opportunity there and the Lakers want to overpay to come get a young center, then offload something that can be of value here and in New Orleans direction and let New Orleans kind of capitalize on that. It's going to be as much of a bummer as Monday night's lottery was. It's going to be a really interesting pre-draft process just to figure out what the Pels posturing and maneuvering looks like with some of those opportunities that should come into play.
And also, we're going to see a lot more news next week or very shortly, because the draft combine is going on as well. So we'll have a lot of those reactions or words, chirpings from front offices about who they like, who they didn't like, who they're putting out to the media that they like. Those are all coming in right now as in Chicago, the NBA draft combine is going on. So next week we'll have news for you. It'll be great. You know, even when there's not NBA news, we somehow find a way to get NBA news into the show. That may be our biases, but who cares? All right. Chet and Nick like it too. So that's who we're making this video for.
I'm not telling them that they came up because I want to see
if they watch.
If they, yeah.
This
is going to be
like, same page.
Like
we're on the same page. Who knows? That's all we got for you today. Jared, do you have anything else before we get out of here?
No, that's about it, man. Just looking forward to continuing to hit these spring football roads, enjoying the rest of this NBA playoffs, and yeah, man, looking forward to chopping up again next week.
Well, please share this video, Nick and Chet, we beg you. Also, if you want to catch up with anything Louisiana versus all y'all, check out the YouTube page, which you're currently watching if you're watching this right now. But you can also go to LA versus all y'all on Twitter and Instagram, and then PODnas_LA to follow us. Last episode, we cursed a lot. Our curse jar went up about $12. It was the reaction
to new record.
So, go check that out. Check us out. We'd love to see you. But until the next time, Podnas.
If you like swears, check it out.
Yeah, Podnas out.